believe the game that I just watched between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers. It is almost as if they personally went out of their way to dispel any of my concerns about them as a team. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Little Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We are trying to get to 20K. I think we just got to 19, so if you haven't subbed already, it would be much appreciated. I have not watched the Knicks versus Pistons game yet, so you're not going to be getting that recap or reaction rather tonight, unfortunately, but let's talk exclusively just about this Timberwolves-Lakers game. So I picked the Lakers to win this series in spite of the fact that I also picked the Minnesota Timberwolves to be my dark horse team. So I'm kind of at this weird crossroads in this series where I would have been right to have called them a dark horse, but then I would have been wrong to have said they can't get it done versus LA. So one way or the other, I'm right in one way and wrong in the other. So I don't know. I have a weird feeling about this series. I'm much more a fan of this Lakers team this year, even though the Minnesota Timberwolves last year were probably my favorite NBA team in the playoffs. I am just simply I'm not a Julius Randle hater, but I am a Julius Randle not enjoyer. So him being on the team along with Rudy Gobert, who also is not a particularly fun player to watch on the offensive end anyways, it just made me not like this team as much, but I did recognize they had a lot of ability, and it's actually interesting what worked for them so well in this game. Anthony Edwards actually did not shoot the ball all that well, and he was third in scoring. However, he got 9 assists with just 1 turnover. Rudy Gobert only ended up playing 24 minutes in this one because he wasn't really contributing to the things that was making Minnesota good, even if he still had a very positive net rating. The reason that Minnesota blew this game wide open was their shooting and their lineups that were a pairing of Naz Reid and Julius Randle, or Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels, whatever it may be, but Naz Reid being that 5, being the stretch big, being that he shot 6 for 9 from outside in this one, including multiple very deep three-pointers, one where he was like fading out of bounds out of the corner. That is a very different play style than the one that you get with Rudy Gobert being such a big part of the team. So my big question is Rudy Gobert a 20-something minute per game big now, or was this just merely Naz really had the hot hand and the offense is what was carrying them, so they doubled down on it? Or is this something we're going to see regularly? Is Rudy Gobert just at that point where his offense is so limited that what he does good on the defensive end does not end up mattering? Now, I got a lot of pushback from Minnesota Timberwolves fans on my preview for this series, and understandably so. If you pick a team to lose, then the person who's a fan of that team is probably not going to be that happy with you if they believe that they can win themselves. That's completely fair. I understand why that happens. However, there was some suggestion that some of my concerns were unfounded, specifically Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Naz Reid's shooting. Now, Naz Reid obviously kind of got rid of a lot of the concerns from 3 for me. However, he did have an okay shooting playoffs last year that was not like substantially great, so I didn't account for him being like an elite shooter. If he ends up being an elite shooter in this postseason, then I was wrong about that. However, Nickeil Alexander-Walker went 1 for 6 from 3 in this one, and in last year's playoffs, I am pretty sure he shot, if not sub 30%, just around there. Could you not make me verify that I'm human right now, Basketball Reference? Yeah, playoffs last year through 16 games, 29.6%. So while he has shot the 3 ball very well in the regular season, I do need to see it happen in the postseason in order for me to treat him like a legit shooter. It's the same thing that I get pushback from Thunder fans when I say this shit about Lou Dort, because Lou Dort has shot the 3 ball exceptionally well in the regular seasons over the last 2 years. He's at 40% from 3 on 5.5 attempts in the regular season. However, guess what? In last year's playoffs against the Dallas Mavericks, he only shot 31.7% from 3 on 6.8 attempts per game. So high volume, shot as poorly as he did. And there are just dudes who can shoot well in the regular season, and then they can shoot well in the postseason eventually. But some of them, sometimes there's just dudes who do one good and one not. But usually it's a thing that shooters, as their careers are developing, get better with, like Julius Randle in this game. 4 for 6 from outside. Horrifyingly bad playoff three-point shooter to this point in his career, but he went 4 for 6 from outside in this one. So maybe this is a sign that the tides are turning. Jaden McDaniels, 3 for 3 from outside in this one, but beyond just the shooting from outside, 11 for 13 from the field overall, 8 for 11 or 8 for 10, I think that would be, inside the three-point line. No free throws, 25 points of pure buckets, 9 boards as well. He was slashing, getting to the rim really well. So McDaniels and Julius, their three-point shooting being this good is really encouraging. Julius is the number one guy that I'm really concerned about, given how prominent a fixture of this offense he is. He also had 7 turnovers, which is of pretty big concern as well. Like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 of them were just absolutely absurd. How did you even get in that situation, turnovers? But Naz Reid, if I were to pick anybody out of the concern that I had for Randall, McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Naz Reid was easily the one I was the least concerned about. But no one besides for Nickeil had a rough time shooting the 3 ball. Actually, Dante DiVincenzo was 1 for 5. I didn't even clock that. He hit like a crazy deep one at the end of the second quarter, I believe that it was. So that 3 really stuck to memory. But overall, 21 for 42 from outside. And it was especially bad in the first half. Minnesota cooled down enough that they actually gave the Lakers enough reason to believe they had a way of making a comeback here. And honestly, after the end of the third quarter, when the Lakers turned it to just a 16-point game because Luka banked in a fucking half-court shot, and the moment that he hit a 3 on the first possession back in, it really felt like they were alive and that they were going to mount a comeback and actually potentially win this game, or at least make it closer. But Julius Randle and especially Anthony Edwards remained calm, cool, and collected. Their shooting was still good, and Naz Reid's shooting was still good. He was just on the bench for a little bit. So, like, the shooting for the team at large maybe slipped a little bit, especially at the volume that it was coming, but the 3 still kept coming well enough, and it was enough to hold off the Lakers. However, what I will say, the thing that you're going to hear a lot, and what's annoying is this subject always invokes like controversy and argument. No one ever wants to hear that their team lost, or rather that their team won because of shooting variance. That definitely sounds like an excuse. Don't get me wrong, the Lakers did a lot of things bad in this game besides for having 6 more three-pointers made on them than they ended up making. But the field goal make difference is only 3. It's not anything significant. It was three-pointers that buried them. I do think the free throw disparity, it's only a 6 free throw disparity in the favor of the Lakers, so nothing that substantial. Man, teams do not shoot free throws in the NBA anymore. Only 26 between both teams in here. That's absolutely wild. I definitely felt as though LeBron and Austin Reeves were like completely asleep in the first first 2 quarters of this game. Austin Reeves had a really, really nice pull-up three-pointer, and I think he had 14 points in the second quarter in general. So he started to heat up. LeBron hit a corner 3. So I thought the comeback might be on. But it was too little too late. The Timberwolves had gone up by enough because of their shooting that there was really no way to mount this comeback, so long as they just didn't go ice cold, and they did not go ice cold in the fourth quarter. However, they're not going to shoot this well from 3 the entire series. I also don't think you are going to get such a very whatever and kind of bad performance out of Austin Reeves and LeBron. I also think there's a good chance we're just not going to see any Jackson Hayes at all in this series after this game, because in the 8 minutes he played, his defense was not particularly good. His rebounding was fine, and I mean, he did get 2 offensive rebounds. It's actually good, but he missed both of his shots, both of which were right at the rim. The first one, he tried to do a poster when he clearly should have done a layup because he has literally negative touch. I don't know if I've seen a big man with less touch. And the other one was he bricked a fucking alley-oop dunk. So if you're not going to do the thing that you're supposed to do, which is score the damn ball on alley-oops, and your defense is so-so, you're not even really doing much of a job of slowing down the bigs of Minnesota who are absolutely scorching, then yeah, you're just not going to play that much. So this is going to end up being a series of, if not in its entirety, pretty much to the points that actually matter in its entirety, a small ball team versus the Timberwolves, who have a legit power forward, a center, and a kind of combo forward center, more of a power forward Naz Reid, but a really big ass dude, and Jaden McDaniels is 6'10", so there's a lot of size here, and I think the Rudy Gobert thing, I think I might have put too much stock in how Rudy Gobert would not pace well with this Lakers offense. Not to say that I don't think that's true, because there were definitely moments in this game where that did ring true. Luka burned Rudy on, I think, 2 different possessions. You know, that's what he does. He loves to cook Rudy Gobert. But honestly, dude, the depth with Naz Reid here, Randle playing bigger. Julius Randle guarded LeBron for most of the game, and it was super effective. Like, there is a lot going for them without Rudy Gobert, especially the offensive benefit they get from the spacing of having Naz Reid out there. So this series is definitely could get more interesting than I originally thought. The fact that Randall was defending LeBron was interesting to me because I didn't expect anything like that at all. I thought they would try and hide Randall, but the thing that makes sense about it is body-wise, Julius Randle is as close to a physical matchup to LeBron James as you can realistically ask for. Like, got a lot of muscle, big body, similar height, I think similar-ish wingspan. They both use that in a very different way, but either way, in terms of just bodying LeBron, and LeBron's not nearly as quick or agile as he used to be, so his physicality is more of a weapon than his speed is, by contrast to it being kind of an even split before. So it's not like Randall's going to get blown by a shit ton by LeBron, and he wasn't in this game. So that matchup also makes me feel better about the Timberwolves versus the Lakers. But what I will say, I'm pretty sure, I'm very confident that the Lakers will win Game 2. I don't think they're going to let this happen a second time. I don't think fate would allow this to happen a second time. Like, honestly, there's just not enough. If the Minnesota Timberwolves shot this well from 3 for the entire series, they'd be officially anointed as the greatest fucking three-point shooting team in NBA history, or at least the one that had the greatest shooting playoff series in NBA history. So it's going to be more interesting and not as dominant by one team or the other going forward, I don't think. But the Lakers have reason to be fearful. Even if this game you can chalk up to just pure shooting variance, they still took a game on your home court. You still are at a significant disadvantage now because you need to win one on their home court, and you've also given them as much of a reason to have a confidence boost as you could possibly imagine. Like, I can't imagine that the Timberwolves locker room is not bumping right now. Like, it's got to be a great time. The vibes have got to be phenomenal. And that's a very strong start. A strong start goes a long way, man. It goes a long way, and it might take Minnesota all the way, at least past this series. And frankly, if they do get by the Lakers, if Julius Randle shoots threes like this, if Jaden McDaniel shoots threes like this, like not 100% and 70%, but just well enough, if they're in the 40-ish% territory on decent enough volume, the ceiling for this team is so much higher. Like, so much higher. My concern, rather simply, is that McDaniels, Randle, and Gobert, spacing-wise, is a nightmare. But if Randle and McDaniels can shoot threes well now, and Rudy Gobert isn't even playing that much, and it's more Naz Reid, who's a great floor spacer, then the three-point issue for Minnesota isn't a fucking issue. They're actually a remarkable three-point shooting team. So that's the only thing that actually made me be like, yeah, I don't think they're contenders this year. But like I said, Minnesota's got nothing to be upset about. It's just a question of whether or not this is something to be maintained. The answer is no, not to the extent in which it happened in this game, but it could be enough momentum to carry them through a series, and frankly, I think it could be enough to carry them pretty damn far in the NBA playoffs. So yeah, the Timberwolves did everything in their power to prove me wrong in game one, and it worked. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the series. It's late as hell, and I'm very tired, so I forgot to do my grade, my tier list. I'm not going to do the visual because I'm just trying to get this up, but tier list wise, I think this gets a B. This was a good game. It was really awe-inspiring. It was really wild to watch. It wasn't that entertaining, really, but it was a good game. Very good game. I enjoyed it. Crazy. More awe-inspiring than enjoyable, if that makes any sense. I don't know.